Hey babes, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Brandy. I am the host of the Be Real Babe Show, a spinoff of the Be Real Babe podcast. And today's episode is internet insanity, and there is a theme I'm bringing you guys, and it's all about lawsuits. Now, one of this is a follow-up from a past episode on the podcast. One is a new one that is kind of interesting considering the person and the context, which you'll have to wait and stick around in here. And then we have another one that touches on the MLM space and one that I was super interested in. So the theme today is lawsuits. So if you are into that, make sure to stick around and let's jump right into it. Okay, babes, let's get into some lawsuits. Now, you guys know this is a new segment, new thing to me. I'm trying to branch off some things from the podcast. And just a reminder, if you're wanting to hear more from the Be Real Babe podcast, you can find me there on Rumble, Apple, or Spotify. And this is where I get into guest episodes and jump a little bit deeper into people's experiences so we can all have informed consent. And then over here, strictly on YouTube, we're going to have Keeping Up with Canada, which is a weekly recap that was posted last on Monday. And then this segment, which is Internet Insanity, which also used to be on the podcast, and I just bring you stories I find on the internet. And so I thought this one, I was starting to go into it, and I knew right away that I wanted to talk about Diddy and the new updates on his lawsuit. And I also wanted to talk about this new one that I came across that is about Mark Zuckerberg and Meta specifically. I wouldn't say Mark Zuckerberg specifically, sorry. I just find it interesting. His comments on freedom of speech, meanwhile something and a lawsuit is happening between Meta and a publishing agency. So that's super interesting. We'll start with that one. And then I'm going to bring you another lawsuit that has actually just closed as I was doing some research for this. When I was doing the research for it, I came across this because something's happening on TikTok for the MLM community and Monat and their ability to now sell on TikTok. And if you want to look into that, I'm going to link the video below from Hannah that kind of brought Monat back into my world. And I do remember on the podcast, you guys really like the anti-MLM content. So I'll link those episodes down below as well if you do want to hear a couple of anti-MLM episodes that I did publish on the podcast. But as I was going through this, I remembered that, oh yeah, Monat and their old CEO, and there was some like shit going on there and a bunch of drama. So I wanted to catch up. And as I caught up, it turns out that they actually settled. And so I wanted to bring that also. We're going to like I said, we're going to talk about Meta and a lawsuit with a publisher because of a book that was published, kind of like an expose, if you will. Now I want to go and read it, to be honest with you. And then we'll talk about the Monat lawsuit, how that started and where that ended up. And then finally, we will catch up to the Diddy lawsuit, because that's ongoing. That's going to continually be a theme, I'm sure, on the show. And this is also a follow-up, like I said, to a past episode. I'll link down in below. So let's get started. And thanks you guys so much for bearing with me as I learn how to do all these things. I'm trying. So Meta playing hardball to prevent sales of ex-employees tell-all book. Ooh. Well. Mark Zuckerberg suddenly wants less free speech and more content moderation when it comes to a former Facebook employee who's written a book exposing what it was like to work there, and they've hauled the publisher to court. And this is what I find, this is why I thought it was super interesting, because of his speech wanting to have more freedom of speech, but then this is happening here. So what's going on? Yes, Meta has sued publisher Macmillan Books and their subsidiary Flatiron Books over former employee Sarah Wynne Williams' new book, Careless People, A Cautionary Tale of Power, Greed, and Lost Idealism. Wynne Williams worked at Facebook from 2011 to 2017, and apparently the juicier tidbits of the book include Sheryl Sandberg putting the makes on her female assistant and buying herself the assistant $13,000 worth of lingerie, allegedly, forcing Wynne Williams to work when she was in labor, allegedly, naming some creepy alleged harassment details about top Facebook exec Joel Kaplan, allegedly, and that Mark Zuckerberg allegedly letting the Chinese government censor the platform at will in that country. So those are, pretty big things, and I can imagine if it, the thing I find interesting is like, okay, if it's not true, then if she publishes it or you go to like the lawsuit, don't you have to, I don't know. I don't know much about it, but I just thought this was super interesting. This is going to be a pause, come back to find out. But it says you probably would never have heard of any of the wild allegations if it weren't for Meta's lawsuit to stop the book. They sometimes call this the Streisand effect. So the Streisand effect is like you're trying not to bring attention to something, and by doing that, you actually bring all the attention to it. So find that super interesting that this happened. Because again, yeah, I never heard anything about this until I was just kind of stumbling through kind of crazy lawsuits, and this one just stumbled upon me. But it sounds like Meta won round one of the lawsuit, as the New York Times reports that a judge ruled that the publisher must stop promotions and sale of the book. The judge ruled that Wynne Williams violated her non-disparagement agreement and sent the dispute to arbitration. So again, I'm not very legally understanding, so if you can explain that to me, that would be great. But it sounds like they're trying to silence her a little bit, and whether that's like going against the contract or not, I guess if it's just her opinion and her experience, like, I don't know, I guess. I hate it. I just feel like it's so unfair because so many people are trapped because if they've signed contracts and NDAs. I feel like that's just all of fucking Hollywood. And this just kind of plays into the same situation. Silencing the offer non-disparagement agreement. Funny, this is the same Mark Zuckerberg who's been saying recently, it's time to get back to our roots about freedom, free expression. That's what I'm saying. The publisher is not backing down, though. We are appalled by Meta's tactics to silence our author through use of disparagement clause in a severance agreement, Macmillan spokesperson Marlena Bittner told The Times. The book went through a thorough editing and vetting process, and we remain committed to publishing important books such as this. Meanwhile, Chronicle picks up a statement from Meta spokesperson Andy Stone, who calls the book a mix of out-of-date and previously reported claims about the company and false accusations about our executive. Despite the ruling, the book is still available on Amazon and numerous outfits listed by the publisher. So that's a pause, but it sounds like the book's still available on Amazon. So if you guys want to go download it and read it for yourself, I mean, I guess I'm always kind of torn because it's like someone's opinion and freedom of speech. You should be able to say that. But at the same time, it's like you need those things vetted. But then a big publisher like that, I would imagine they would have processes like that to vet those things. So again, I'm not familiar with both, but I just thought it was kind of interesting in the light of everything. And you know, and it's kind of alluding to what he's saying. But he was saying, I believe that he was being silenced by the U.S. government and the Democrats, like the Biden-Kamala pressure of the government. And this book is saying that China was in control of him. So I'm just very, you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, I just like to take everything with a grain of salt, but I also don't want to disbelieve people, right? Like, she's saying these things for a reason. What does this all mean? She wrote a whole book about it. So I find it hard to discredit that. So I feel like there's got to be some truth somewhere in between. She probably did have an awful time, and she probably did see a bunch of mismanagement, and maybe some of that stuff, because it was 2017, has changed. Maybe they were in charge. I don't know. I know there's all those conspiracies and connections, so we really won't know. But I just think it's not necessarily a good look. It's kind of like, I don't know, how are you going to stop it? And I guess if it is like a defamation or something like that, you could sue, I guess, but like suing the publication people, sue her directly. I don't know, but then people could never write exposés and stuff, and then money gets, so yeah, I don't know. I think it's just better to have freedom of speech and expression, and then just counter those things, being like, this is where I'm going to disprove this, maybe might be the better tactic, instead of, it just gets hairy when you start deciding what people can and cannot talk about. You know what I mean? As much as I don't agree with lots of opinions, I still think all of them should be out there. It also helps me learn and understand and grow more. So I always want to hear people's opinions. Now, sometimes when I hear new stuff, I might change my mind. Sometimes I might not. But yeah, so I thought that was super interesting. I guess put a pause on that one. What's going to happen there, I wonder. It sounds like first round, maybe not so good for the publishing company, but they seem to be putting 10 toes down on this. So I would imagine they wouldn't put their reputation on the line if it wasn't for something important. So I'm real torn on this one. I don't know about you guys. You let me know in the comments below what you think. What are the rules here? Like, are we breaking rules? Are we not breaking rules? You know, is she allowed to have that conversation if it's her true experience? But then it's like, without proof, how do you prove that? You know, because there are people out there that do the wrong things, unfortunately, and they do try to take advantage, but we can't always say that at the same time, right? So super important to kind of just play devil's advocate all the time, and sometimes I'm just going to put a pin in it, and it's not my job, thankfully. I'm not in that court, and I don't have to decide, so it doesn't really matter. It's just something interesting that I thought was kind of maybe a little counterintuitive of what he said, right? And maybe instead of just like calling out all those pieces, and maybe he did. I don't always have the time to research everything, and I am in Canada, so half the shit is fucking censored anyways, so I could be completely wrong. But yeah, thought that one was super interesting to share with you guys. So let's put a pin in that one. We'll come back to that one, in a little bit if I find some updates. But I know a lot of people are saying that they're not noticing a difference of censorship. Like Meta said it was going to reverse, and everyone feels that there's different censorships all over TikTok as well, and things have just changed. Algorithms have changed. So again, were these just words that we were using at a time? Do we actually mean these things? I don't know much about technology. Does it take time to reverse some of these algorithms? I feel probably not, but I'm not techie enough to fucking know. When you're like at work and you're like, why is someone not doing their job? But then you're also like, well, I fully don't understand what they do for their job. So it's probably a lot harder. It's probably one of those situations. So I am at some point, I am trying to give the benefit of the doubt, but at what point? At what point? So like, are you really for freedom of speech, or only when it benefits you? And that part I don't like. Okay, so next topic. We're going to talk about Monat. So what is Monat? And also, like I said, guys, I'm going to link a couple anti-MLM episodes from the podcast down below in the box there. I know a lot of people have messaged me. You guys always love the anti-MLM content. To be honest, that was the first YouTube rabbit hole I ever fell down. And it's something that I'm definitely very versed in, being someone who has been burned by the MLM community a few times now. So sure, I might have a personal bias and vendetta. At the same time, it just takes an easy Google search, even up here in Canada, to see some of the bad and things that are going out there. The things that are out there in the anti-MLM community in YouTube. Parts of me always wondered if I should start my own channel about that, just because I do have lots of compassion on, for people that are currently in it, that have been out of it, for all of those things, people that have been burned by them. But at the same time, there's so many amazing creators out there. I'm going to link Hannah below, who actually put Monat back onto my radar. And that's because she was talking about TikTok Shop allowing them now to sell their products, which, what does that mean? And so I'm just going to leave it there. She did an amazing job, but it made me then look up Monat, because I was like, oh yeah, wasn't there some tea last year about the CEO coming out and being all upset? And so I wanted to see where that was at. And turns out there's a conclusion to that too. But if you didn't know, and if you don't know what anti-MLM is, or what MLM is, it's multi-level marketing. If you want to know more, I suggest looking on both sides of the scale. But they're basically, some people call them pyramid schemes on the anti-MLM side, and on the pro-MLM side, they are saying it's network marketing, it's, group sisterhood, all these things. And I think there's a lot of truth in all of it, and you just have to be super informed and aware when you're going into this, because if you're like me, you get sucked into like, the tactics of sisterhood and friendship, and then being left in the dark. It's not a good feeling. Anyways, that's not really about what this episode is. I'll link them, and I will do another one on the podcast, and I will talk about MLM companies a little bit more on these weekly recaps when I can find some, because there's always a lot of changes with that. But this specifically is for Monat, and that is the mostly hair care known product one. And this one I think has been around for a very long time. This one to me is kind of like been around for the same time as like Arbonne. Maybe not as old as Mary Kay, maybe it was, but it's been around for a while, and it's been really back and forth. There's some people that are in the hair care industry, or hairdressers, and they love the product, and there's some people that are like hissing at it, and how dare you. It's really all over the place, guys, but there is lots of lawsuits out there for people having negative experiences. So I just like always want you to go and research the product yourself, and make sure that the person that you're buying it from isn't making a profit, and make sure that they're sharing all good things, good and bad things. And just for yourself, if you're using a product from here and you're having a bad experience, you're probably not going to get validation from the person that sold it to you. So just make sure that you just are open and you're aware of what the potential side effects could be, so you could stop it. If someone's saying, oh, losing your hair is normal, you should be losing your hair on that, probably not. And unfortunately with the lawsuits, because people aren't really tracking what they're eating and what they're doing at the time that these things are happening, it's kind of hard for them to prove in a court of law that that is what happened. So take that with a grain of salt, because again, it's not like you're going to be writing down all these things to be able to document this to then go in court because you've lost half of your hair. You know what I mean? So like, I just want people to be aware. So that's kind of like high level, blah, blah, blah. I was going to try not to do a million hours of talk here, but try my best to keep it short. We know that she's a liar. We know. Okay, so Las Vegas. This is from KTNV, and this is from May 2024, but I just wanted to kind of bring you up to speed of like what was going on here. So over the past 6 years, Las Vegas locals have reported falling victim to the promises and claims made by multi-level marketing company Monat, which sells hair and skincare products online. In 2018, 13 Investigates first broke the story of allegations of balding and scalp sores from some Monat users. And our coverage continued with class action lawsuits and an attorney general crackdown in Florida, where the company is headquartered. Now the company's troubled waters are getting deeper. Former Monat president Stuart McMillan has gone from the company's biggest cheerleader to its harshest critic. He's got the inside knowledge and financial incentive to do that. As he turns against his former employers in court, he paints a stark picture of alleged fraud affecting customers, employees, and the government. Don't let the haters dictate to you what you can and cannot say. That's how McMillan described Monat's critics when he was in the helm of the company in 2020. But in newly filed court records, McMillan himself seems to be one of those so-called haters. McMillan resigned from Monat last June, just a few weeks ago, amid a profit-sharing dispute with Monat's co-founder Rainer and Louise Urdanetya. McMillan sued them and the company, alleging breach of contract, defamation, and fraud after spending years in lockstep with them. Big allegations, right? Like, those are big words. And again, like, just keep in mind, just because someone has a lawsuit doesn't necessarily, guys, I got backwards here. Usually my camera's there, but I moved it here, so I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong place for the last 20 minutes. But anyways, just keep in mind that just because someone's filed a lawsuit, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're right and they have all the evidence, and someone could just be wanting to do stuff. Like, go look at the Do We Know Them podcast and look at the shit that the girlies have had to deal with Janet. If you watch, you know. If not, go look them up. You'll see one of their last episodes was talking about it. Like, even sometimes lawyers can take on, they just want to make money sometimes too, right? Like, if they're going to make money regardless, not to be that way, some are like that. So keep in mind, just because someone's in a lawsuit doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be, like, winning just because someone, so keep that in mind. But I just find this super interesting, how you a huge cheerleader to all of a sudden you're flipping. So what happened, right? Was it, what made you change? And it's like, great, that's great. But like, what was it? Was it personal? Because like, if you're seeing all these claims and not doing anything and you're just still pocketing money, you know what I mean? So I just be curious, and I don't think we'll ever find out. But after their investigation here aired in 2018, McMillan and the Urdanetyas posted a series of social media videos defending Monat against critics they claimed targeted the company because they were jealous of its success. And sorry, this is a classic MLM rebuttal to anybody discrediting them or calling them out or anything. It's like immediately that you're haters, and it's like, I'm sorry, no, not me anyways. I can't speak for everyone else, but girlies, I've been burned by you a couple of times, so that's not a hater, that's just lived experience. And I work in corporate cannabis in Canada, and that is a new industry, and it's something I've advocate and love. So I'm actually, as much as I know it's hard for people on MLMs to hear this, I love my corporate job. I'm so grateful. So I really do struggle when I hear things like this of being like jealous of their success. And it's like, I'm not jealous of your success. I'm happy for you if that's what you want. And if that success was grown off of your own hard work and not the backs of other people, then I'm all fucking for it. But if it didn't, sometimes I'm going to struggle with that. And I struggle with MLMs that shade women that are working in corporate and doing those things and using things like, you're jealous of my success and leave your 9-to-5 as if it's so toxic and there's no positives to it, when for some of us it's our literal dreams. So this is why I do have problems with a lot with the verbiage. But again, I just find this is so interesting. Like, okay, again, they're saying we're just hating off their success, but it's like, I want to be successful because everyone around me is working together. Not just, who got in early and who recruited as many people are going to be making the best money. That's just me personally. You do you, boo. Now McMillan is claiming that in court records that the Urdanetyas operated Monat more like a cult than a legitimate business, and likening to a mafia family running an unprincipled syndicate designed to unjustly enrich themselves. He said the Urdanetyas created a hostile work environment where any complaints from employees or independent contractors, independent contract market partners were met with skepticism, criticism, and retaliation. On May 23rd, Monat filed an answer in court to McMillan's claims denying his allegations, but admitting the Urdanetyas fired McMillan's daughter because she attended a Zoom holiday toast that reflected poorly on Monat. Las Vegas stylist Tony Miller has also experienced retaliation by Monat. The only hair transformation that I am seeing with my clients is hair loss. Miller told Investigate 13 investigates in 2018, after which Monat sued her for defamation. Just last month, she rejected the terms of settlement offer from them, so the case remains unsolved. So again, like I said, it's kind of going back and forth. The FDA has received reports, and like I said, there's lawsuits. There's no lack of knowledge out there about this at all, actually. So you just, like I said, easy Google. But when you're in these things, I know that's really hard. You know, I don't go and search the company that I work for and look up all the bad things necessarily. But I definitely am not, I listen to it and I'm open to it. But I feel like, unfortunately, with MLM models, they're very held into their product. And if you say anything against or have a bad experience, then it's like, you're the problem. But it's like, that's not very fair. And that's all I want to see. It's like, do whatever you want, as long as you're informed and you're not selling a dream that's not real and you're not lying to people. Do whatever you want. But to say certain things and with verbiages of it being your own company and shitting on corporate girlies, I'm not a fan of that. But again, free speech, do what the fuck you want. And then just to follow up, Stuart McMillan and Monat settle a mafia family lawsuit. So they've settled the legal dispute against them as per the January 27th filed joint stipulation. Plaintiff Stuart McMillan and defendants Monat Global Corp, Rainer Urdanetya and Louise Urdanetya, by and through their undesigned counsel, hereby dismiss this action, including the pending claims and counterclaims, with prejudice, each party to bear its own attorney fees and costs. So the suit, like I said, all of that stuff was dismissed on both sides. Everyone, and I think when it says with prejudice, I think means that you can't reopen it. Please comment and let me know if that's correct. I know that with or without prejudice has to do with if they can like bring it back up or if it's dead. I just don't know which one. So if you can let me know, but one of them. So I don't think we'll ever get an answer on this, guys, but it sounds like it's done. Again, just because someone had a lawsuit doesn't mean that those things are true. At the same time, why would someone go through all of this and all this public stuff if there wasn't some truth to it? So I'd be very curious what you guys think about that and the lawsuits and as well as the lawsuits just directly for them, for people that are having problems with their hairs. And what's your experience? I know there's a lot of girlies out there looking in the comment section that just absolutely love Monat and hate it when people call them out, not just people that are selling it, but customers too, because some people said that they have never found something else. And again, hey, like, as much as I would love to not see these models supported, and I would just love to see more money go directly to the person selling it versus the whole model there. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I was being crunchy with hair for a long time, and just because I have thin hair, I'm not going to push it. And hey, man, like, I fucking use Pantene, and I'm not saying going to do that. All I'm saying is, like, sometimes our choices aren't going to be for everybody, and not everyone's going to be happy because some people, oh my God, you have drugstore. I'm sorry, my hair has got life, okay? I went down the crunchy thing. I tried all those. It wasn't working. And Pantene Pro V is doing it for me. And I'm so happy. And I feel so much better. And I feel like I'm so non-toxic in other places in my life that the fear of shampoo needs to drop. And I've dropped that. However, there's legitimate lawsuits. And this is actually from experiences that I've heard from people directly. And I just am not a person that's going to support this kind of model. Like I said, if it was just strictly affiliate links and you made money off of sales, and that you just were direct, amazing. It's this whole, I get the team thing, and that's what got me, is because I think it's amazing, and I just wanted that sisterhood and that group, and I totally get it because I have that, but just not an MLM structure, so I get it. But also, people use the kindest of people, the people that are desperate, that are in situations. So just be informed before you sign up for any business of what they're actually saying. Research for yourself, and don't just read the positives. Make sure you go look at all of it so you're getting the full side of it, right? Because did you know there's lawsuits most people don't know because they're told not to look. Okay, final topic. Okay, what am I doing for time? Oh, we're not being faster with time, guys. I really was gonna try, but I just can't. So quick update. In December I did an episode. I will link it below. Sorry, I can't remember, 207 maybe. Diddy or Didney, maybe it was like, yeah, 208. I'll link it down below where I kind of went over the whole Diddy case. So go back to that episode. It is on YouTube as well, so you'll be able to watch it as well and see where we were then. But back then, it was back in December. He was in jail. All these allegations came out in September. He was arrested. The Cassie video, da 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 da. Are we going to see the Diddy list? Aren't we? Or see the Epstein list? No, we're not. Like, you know, all this stuff is going on. But some things did happen. So let's go over this article. Let me share my screen as well. I'm going to try and get better at these as well. Okay. So, Sean Diddy Combs shocked courtroom attendees with a grizzled new look at a pre-trial conference on Friday. Combs' legal team and prosecutors disputed various aspects of the disgraced rapper's trial, including jury selection, submitted evidence, and the trial's court timeline. During the Friday conference in front of U.S. District Judge, I'm going to butcher that name, at Daniel Patrick, I'm going to butcher that name too, United Courthouse in Manhattan. FYI, I'm Canadian, I'm from the West Coast, and I was raised in French immersion. So let me tell you, I have a very different dialect. I can say things, and so I just don't want to offend anybody. I apologize. Please don't hate me for it. Please don't cancel me for it. It's just, yeah, I struggle with English words, French words, all the words. Don't put your kids in French immersion. So Combs was charged with racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution following his arrest in September. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges. The graying music mogul appeared in mostly good spirits throughout the 35-minute conference, grinning and waving to a small group of family friends seated towards the back of the gallery, although at other times he could be seen shaking his head and whispering in his attorney's ear. Combs was arraigned in court on a new indictment which added accusations that the hip-hop mogul forced employees to work long hours and threatened to punish those who did not assist in his alleged 2-decade sex trafficking scheme. I mean, does that surprise anybody? His upcoming trial is scheduled to begin May 5th. The indictment follows numerous lawsuits and allegations of rape, sexual assault, physical abuse, and similar claims over the course of 3 decades. Earlier this month, prosecutors submitted a second superseding indictment updating the amended indictment from January that added 3 unnamed women who were allegedly victims of his so-called sex trafficking enterprise, who claims Combs subjected employees to forced labor under inhumane circumstances. That's just fucking wild, you guys. Like truly, like, dial out for a second. I think it's just really insane to me. Like, I get it, you're gonna have your family there, but like, I don't know, just for me, I just don't know that I would want them to be exposed to that. I get it, that's probably the only times you get to see them, but at the same time, like, is that, I don't know, I'm not a parent, so I don't know what it is. I think it just bugs me when I hear it's just like, his kids are there watching that. It makes me feel so bad for them. But I mean, sounds like some of them might be involved in it too, so who knows. So as court adjourned for the day, the next pre-trial conference for is set for April 25th. Witnesses and victims are incredibly frightened to be known to the Diddy's team prosecutors. I mean, I can completely understand that. Like, that must be really scary. It sounds like the assistant U.S. attorney said, "We want to protect the identities of these witnesses and victims," Steiner told the judge. "Some of them are incredibly frightened to have their identities revealed to the defense," she said, "but the prosecution would produce a list of their names." The judge and both sides agreed to this. So, yeah, I mean, that's got to be terrifying. And I imagine that's why most people don't come out, let alone against someone like this. And I understand that some people could say, well, maybe it's not real, I mean, that could be valid too. There could be a bunch of truths at the same time, you know? But Combs' attorney, Mark not gonna fuck that up, said the defense recently came in possession of a great deal of medical records, some related to prescription medication. The defense team added that they'll need an expert to explain what they mean, although his lawyer did not detail the nature of the medical records. I'm not really sure what that means. But also, while listening to a couple things today, I heard that they're also alleging that they manipulated the CNN footage and that they broke it up and sped it up to make him look really bad. But I don't know how that happens. Like, so I don't think fast or slow, I don't think that's taken out of context personally. Allegedly, I don't know. But as it said, guys, this continues on into May. So we'll be coming back to that. But I just wanted to bring that up, that there's more been added. We'll see where that goes. We'll see if they're too afraid, they might not come forward. If they're being forced to, they might just back out entirely, which I think is super sad. But I will try and keep you guys updated the best I can. And I really hope that you enjoyed this episode of Internet Insanity, where I brought you the theme of a bunch of different lawsuits. Some of them, one of them is over. We're not going to be able to know more about that. 2 are still ongoing, and I'm very curious how they will update. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have anything that you want me to cover, or if I missed anything, or if I missed the mark on something, please let me know. But I just appreciate you guys being here and listening and being patient while I work through how to go from podcaster and be a part-time YouTuber too. But thanks guys again, and until the next episode.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Until next time, bye.